Good day, humans. I am Smock from Vulcan. Together with Raymond, we are now going to present another movie review, this time for Kingsman The Golden Circle, now showing in cinemas nationwide. You may observe that for this special occasion, we have donned more formal attire, suited and thematically appropriate for this movie. Mr. Raymond here now will recap why and what happened in the preceding chapter in Kingsman The Secret Service.
Okay, so Kingsman The Secret Service tells about a street smart teenager named Eggsy who is coming from a family from an abusive family background. So one day he got into trouble. Smashing up a illegal stolen car. So in order for him to escape, he remembered that he was given medal. A medal belongs to his father. That was given by his one of his former colleague, his father's former colleague, who he did not know they were actually a bunch of secret agents, a private secret agent called the Kingsman. So he called up the emergency number that was written behind the medal, and then after that he met up with Harry Hart, aka Galahad, to escape from the prison time. So Galahad found that he saw some potential in him, in Eggsy, so decided to take him to become another Kingsman agent.
So that movie was very much an origin story of Eggsy, or otherwise known as Gary Unwin, officially, in his training to become a Kingsman agent, as well as foiling the nefarious plot of Richmond Valentine, who had in mind to commit world genocide.
Yes, just to control the world population.
But what's the important takeaway from that show is Eggsy, of course, saves the world. He also gets the girl, which returns for the sequel movie. But along the process, his mentor, Galahad, or otherwise known as in real life as Harry Hart, is apparently killed in the process. Well, I understand, as in all comic books, or many times, death is just temporary.
Except Uncle Ben.
Well, it's like you have Khan Union Singh's genetic blood. If you inject, you will just bring back dead people to life. The logic behind that totally escapes me, but never mind, that belongs to the Kelvin timeline under the J.J. Abrams universe, of which I will disassociate myself. So with regards to what we just mentioned about death being temporary, it is no secret from the movie trailers that the older Galahad, or Harry Hart, is very much alive. We may go into the further details why later. So let's get back to Kingsman The Golden Circle. Mr. Raymond, would you like to give an overall synopsis of the movie without going to the spoiler territory yet?
Okay, so this one is because if you may watch the trailers already itself, I'm not going to spoil anything. Kingsman The Golden Circle shows Eggsy being a successful Kingsman. So however they were targeted, all the Kingsman agents, they were branches, they were targeted by Poppy Adams, played by Julianne Moore. She is part of an international evil organization group called the Golden Circle. So she attacked all the branches of Kingsman, and all the Kingsman branches were destroyed. So the next step was that they had to do like a doomsday step. What will happen if all Kingsman base or branches were all destroyed? So they went to take the step of that, and they found out that they found a bottle of whiskey. So
I think it's no secret, of course, to say that Eggsy himself survives. Also survive is Merlin, his technical support man. The somewhat spoilery trailer, which indicates that older Galahad, Harry Hart, is also alive.
But he wasn't there anyways. He was in a different location. So yeah.
So in the trailers, we are also introduced to the Statesman, which are the American counterparts of the Kingsman.
Yeah.
The same covert spy intelligence agency, somewhat with an American cowboy twist.
Yeah.
And that's where they team up to combat another global catastrophe or a nefarious plot by this Poppy Adams, which is the head of the Golden Circle. A huge, shall we say, drug cartel, which has distributed their illicit drugs across the world.
Eggsy, I saw in you the makings of a Kingsman. It's about being willing to sacrifice for the greater good. I hope you're ready for what comes next.
Say goodbye to the Kingsman.
If someone wanted to take out Kingsman, then they are planning something major.
Eggsy's gonna need backup.
Let's go and save the world.
Let's talk about the characters. Mr. Raymond, why do you not introduce the Kingsman?
Okay, so Kingsman, we have returning characters. We have Eggsy returning as Galahad now, taking the role from the former Galahad from Harry Hart. Eggsy is played by Taron Egerton. Former Agent Galahad, aka Harry Hart, is played by Colin Firth. But this time he's only one-eyed only because he was shot from the first movie. Then you have Merlin played by Mark Strong, who is the tech support, and Eggsy love interest, the Princess Tilda, played by Hannah Alstrom, and yeah, that's mostly the part of the Kingsman list.
So this time period takes place approximately 1 year after the events in Kingsman The Secret Service. So Eggsy himself is already in a steady relationship with Princess Tildy, and part of the movie's plot also revolves around that relationship and consequences involved in the nature of his work.
Yeah. But
without going into spoilers.
Yeah.
So on the Statesman side, I think very prominently in all the trailers is Mr. Channing Tatum as Agent Tequila. Also, his boss and the heads of the Statesman is Jeff Bridges as Agent Champagne, or otherwise Champ for short. They are supported by Halle Berry as Agent Ginger Ale, which is Merlin's equivalent in the Statesman. And finally, we have Agent Whiskey, who is a very cowboy veteran agent played by Pedro Pascal, known for his role in Game of Thrones. He has a lasso, a bullwhip, and 2 6-shooter pistols. And someone says, very American.
One thing I really like about them is that their agent, their code names, they're all, that's pretty fun. Except Ginger Ale. Ginger Ale is non-alcoholic, yeah.
I do not understand the logic behind you humans indulging in alcoholic beverages to numb your senses.
But it's so fun, yeah, anyway.
So what about the antagonist?
Okay, antagonist, we have Julianne Moore playing as Poppy Adams. She's that psychopath that she's like very nice, very motherly, loving, very caring. She one thing about her is that she don't explode. She don't get pissed off, angry. It's like she shouts at people. No, she's very calm. She's that kind of person. It's like she's very calm, but you know that if she's a calm person, she could be demented in a way. So yeah, she's playing that character. And also coming back is Charlie, who is played by Edward Holstrom. Charlie is one of the failed agents from the first movie. if I'm not mistaken, Michael Caine's character was the one who vouched for him. He brought him in first and also fired him also. So he made a return also as well in the, as the second antagonist of the series of this movie.
Again, as a villain, and if you notice in the trailers, there's this person with a bionic arm. That is Charlie. He sports a different haircut and therefore perhaps not so recognizable.
Yeah.
Poppy Adams also has 2 robotic dogs, which play a fair part in the movie, and
he has one of the unexpected roles. It's none other than the British King himself, Elton John.
Sir Elton John.
Sorry, forgot about that. Yeah, surprisingly, even though he was not mentioned, I mean, he was not really mentioned in the trailers or even on the what, but he played quite a big role. And sorry to Channing Tatum's fans, his role is not even as big as Elton John, to be honest.
Of course, with Mr. Elton John, you expect some musical numbers, and there are a number in this movie, although I'm not totally sure whether they are his songs from his repertoire or...
It is, because I remember the song Saturday is from him.
Very good.
Yeah.
I only remember The Lion King.
So let's go into the next, the action sequences.
The highlights of any action comedy movie.
Yep.
Especially from comic books.
Oh yeah. Technically this time around, the action sequences is, it's, how to say, it's more comic book based in a way. I mean it's over the top. You can see how over the top action sequences and all, but it works well as a comic book movie. I mean, even though yes, it's based from a comic book, but I mean, you know, a movie that is based like on comic book like, so it works well. The over the top action, the action sequences and all, the car chase scenes, those work really smooth and very well in the movie itself.
The movie begins with a bang, straight up with a street chase action sequence whereby Eggsy is being hunted down, I guess, by Charlie's and his compatriots.
From the Golden Circle.
Yes. And the action sequences throughout the movie are really comic book sequences which you expect to see. There are a number of slow-mo sequences, and I have to highlight again towards the in-battle between the 2 Galahads and one of our other antagonists.
Right.
Looked to be a whole sequence shot without breaks, cuts.
Oh, one shot.
A continuous shot with a camera which flies around the combat scene in various directions from start to finish. And I remember commenting about this earlier for another movie called The Hitman's Bodyguard.
Correct.
Where you recall that sequence of Ryan Reynolds with various tucks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yes, this felt like an extension or much longer version of this scene. And while I would say in The Hitman's Bodyguard it had a comic book feel, but this sequence really had a comic book feel.
Because majority of because you know they were using weapons, they were using like pans and all, guns, so those things were really CGI compared to Hitman's Bodyguard. So that is the reason why that's why like I mentioned that all the action sequences has more comic book feel in a way.
If you enjoy comic books, you will no doubt enjoy what the eye candy is presented by this movie. What is your opinion of the movie, Raymond?
I think it's good. It's
and highlights.
I think it's quite fair. I think the whole movie is fair enough already. It's not, to me, I find it's not as fun as the first one. The first one is definitely better, but this one is good enough already. The violence is not exactly as bad as the first one. But this one I find that the violence is a little bit more minimal in a way, even though there was some disgusting scene, especially the grinder. Yeah, but it's very minimal. And also the swearing was still intact, except that they were the F-bombs were there, except the A bombs they were censored out. Some other besides the F-bomb they were not they were censored.
On this point of censorship, we felt that much of the show's action or violence was intact. There was censorship on the words, as what was explained by Raymond earlier, and there is very likely one big scene that was censored
in the
middle of the movie.
In the tent.
Right.
Yes.
But the consequences of that scene, I think, was very well established after that. So it may not have been particularly essential to have seen the act in question, other than the consequences that act had towards our lead protagonist, shall we say, without spoiling it.
Yes, that's true.
Very well. So Raymond, what would you rate this movie, and what would you say to our audience out there?
If you enjoyed Kingsman 1, you will definitely enjoy Kingsman The Golden Circle. I would give this movie a fair 8 out of 10. I mean, I still enjoyed the first one a little bit more. I'm not saying that this movie is exactly, it's not up to par. It's nearly as good as it is, but I just find it's not as fun as the first one. The first one is much more, it has more better feeling.
In my opinion, it could be very much that the first one came out with no expectations. No one knew what was expecting. The sequences were at that time really out of this world. You had a great villain also in the form of Richmond Valentine, played by Samuel L. Jackson. And I think one of the other things goes, as nonsensical as some scenes may play out, even in this sequel movie, you still enjoy the ride. Alright. If you like to read up and more about Kingsman The Golden Circle, please refer to the Outclose blog site. We have an article there published with links to various behind the scenes and introductions to characters and the origins of the movie from the comic book. And of course, if you like what you hear from us, please follow us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel below, and come back again for our next movie review. Most certainly the two next big comic book movies will be Thor Ragnarok and Justice League.
True.
So let's look forward to that.
If someone wanted to take out Kingsman, then they've got to be planning something major.
Some kind of underworld organization, the Golden Circle.
Say goodbye to the Kingsman.
Got a bit of a save the world situation here.
We follow the Doomsday Protocol.
Let's get started.
How to make you want to slap your mama.
Meanwhile, live long and prosper. Oh wait, no, fingers are still wrong here.
And you call yourself a Trekkie, Richard.